The command that you can use once you've installed using npm nsflip, you can then simply call new template. And at any point, if you want help, you can ask for help easily at the command prompt. So the first thing you do is download and by installing npm with npm nsflip. And then you can call ns new template, and it's going to guide you interactively through some questions. What would you like for your ns directory? You can really eventually put things anywhere you want. For this purpose, we can just use the default, and this is an important step. You specify the directory of the sample code base that you want. So let's say I've created a CLI using the Oakliff tool for generating CLIs, and the name of the file is Projectory. Now, what would you like to name your template? It doesn't really matter, but it would make sense to name it something like Oakliff Multi because this is generating something. Okay, let's call it Oakliff Multi Simple. Multi means that you can have multiple commands in your CLI. So this is going to be a CLI generating template that we're going to create here. Here we can specify in general what category it is. Okay, let's say that this is an Oakliff multi template. And the reason for doing this is that I can then use multiple ones to do this, to achieve the same function. So that's useful because maybe I'll want to show different styles or let people be able to select between them. Custom directory, we can keep that the default. If it's a TypeScript code base, then you can just keep that default. Otherwise, you can set whatever you need, whatever glob you need. Now, what it has done is it's created the basic tool here. But now what we are prompted with is we need to go through the process of setting up the packages. So just so that we don't get lost, I'm pointing out that we've done step one, we've generated a new template. Now we're going to create a setup sequence. So to do this, what we need to do is enter in commands, and you can't assume that anybody has something like Oakliff. So I said that we're going to use this based on Oakliff. So let's put in an npx command here. We have to put in the command line prompt that we want to execute at the beginning, like if you want to call create React app or something like that. So we say npx to be able to install Oakliff, and we'll run it multi. And one thing that is explained in that note is that if you want to specify a directory or something, you have to say code dir. And so we're going to set, we're setting this up for somebody who is using our template, who's going to enter in where they want their code to be when they run our template. So what we want is to set it up so that their code base that they say is going to be sent to Oakliff. So that is the first command. Now, this is important. This is called interactive. The default is not interactive, but if you have something that requires user input, then you have to do it interactive. Let's enter another command because I just know we're going to need get to be initialized. And if you don't know everything at the beginning, that's fine. You can always add. This just takes you through the first time. And if you happen to know what you did to generate your code base, then that makes it easier. By the way, if you don't have to have any interactive commands. You could just let nsflip figure out the packages you need. Anyway, this is not interactive, and that should be the last command that we need. Now, notice that it is now actually taking us into Oakliff. It's actually called, after we finished, it's going to catch us up and actually generate this into a sample code base so that we can then iterate and basically move until our code base and our sample that we're basing this on become identical. And that's when we know that our template is working right. So let's go ahead and enter the package name that we really want. So I'm going to put as closely as I can. The defaults are basically fine. I'd rather use npm because I did with the original one. TypeScript, ESLint, Mocha. I use Travis. And now it is going to generate for us everything that, it's Oakliff calls it. If you want to know about Oakliff, you can find out about Oakliff, a CLI for generating other CLIs. After it's completed then, what we get is our next prompt within nsflip. It also noticed that it ran getinit. Okay, so following is a list of packages in your sample app. What you have to do is click on the ones that you don't want to be generated. And that sounds counterintuitive, but the reason is you know what custom business logic was added to whatever you're basing this on. Like I created Projectory, so I know, or you could look at it and figure it out. And I know that any package that I put here should not be generated. Also these. Okay, so none of those have to be generated. Now, that was for the main packages. What about the div packages? I just happen to know that Mocha is showing up here because what's happening under the hood is NSFlip is comparing the package JSON files of what I created with Oaklift to what we're basing this on. And it sees a difference in the versioning of Mocha. We have a more recent version. And that's because Mocha's version was creating a low severity vulnerability. In fact, you see it written above there. So to fix that, I added a new version. Okay, so anyway, we want to use the versions. You could theoretically get the latest of everything, but like for instance, in this case, in the case of the Mocha, getting the latest version would in fact break it. And that's it. We've now created a template that is now generating the proper packages that we need. And there are differences in the files that are being generated. And what we're going to do in the next step, the final step, is to customize the files that we've created to make them customizable by the user. We're going to have to classify them into categories and for each one make insertions that we need to make to allow our users to be able to create whatever they want basically in their CLIs. And that's it.